Alright guys, TacticalRab here again today. Hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. Shotzzy reveals one of the key changes that he made to his gameplay during the course of the Black Ops 6 season to turn them from going 0-18 on an absolute stink show to really delivering at the end of the season, winning the World Championship, winning the World Cup in back-to-back fashion. Also, lots of discussion around Black Ops 7, what is next for this game with COD next on the horizon. Very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I would greatly appreciate it. Let's talk about this actually because Simp, he just did the play test the other day and he tweeted this out this morning, or well, several hours ago at this point, but as he said, about to be an absolute experience of my first COD Next, Black Ops 7, right? So yeah, he's out there. I think COD Next is coming up in a couple of days time on the 30th. Then we're going to get a proper look at the new game Black Ops 7. There was a bit of discussion here about the state of the visual noise and when firing your weapon and stuff, because when you look at the maps, you can actually see that the level of clutter is quite dramatically reduced compared to what we've had over the last few games, and they also intend to do the same thing with other features of the game. So Matt Squant says, just want to say we've drastically reduced visual noise when firing your weapon. It's a common piece of feedback. And Marksman says, can I ask why it's a problem in almost every game lately? This feedback has been given for the last 3 to 4 years in a row, and it's just always been keep getting asked, and finally they're delivering on it. We'll only speak for us at Treyarch, so he's kind of saying that, you know, Infinity Ward, Sledgehammer, what are they cooking? But we pulled back considerably over the course of BO6. It's a balance between visual flavour and gameplay. Want to make sure gameplay is prioritised day one. So I think that's probably a fair point. You don't want the game to look boring, but equally you want it to be quality, right? And there's a balance. It's what I find frustrating about this in a way is that this perfect balance between arcade shooter and like realistic, whatever you want to say, you know, we found this in COD decades ago, like at least a decade ago, and it feels like things have been straying from that. And maybe Treyarch can kind of put us back on track, but then of course the following year Infinity Ward are there to mess it all up again. But whatever, let's just focus on the short term. We'll also talk about maps for this game. We need them to be good. We know that some of the classic maps are coming back, Raid's coming back, Express is coming back, Hijacked is coming back, but probably not going to be played in competitive. There's also talk about maybe Yemen coming back. I'm pretty sure that's going to happen for Black Ops 2, possibly Meltdown as well. So we are going to have a solid setup of maps. Now, a little while ago, we thought we saw the map Gridlock from Black Ops 4 potentially coming back. That may have simply been because there are plenty of other maps in the game that are based in Japan. And there are some other ones that we will have a quick look at here in a second, because Ghost of Hope says that Toshin and Imprint apparently are great maps. So he says, not sure if you already know, but I've heard the maps in BO7 are even more vibrant and colourful than the images we currently have of them, as Treyarch did another pass at them, saying that those two maps are very reminiscent of classic Treyarch maps. So these are all the maps. We looked through them the other day, and well, I guess I'll just go full screen on these two because these are the two that he actually points out specifically. So this is Imprint. Again, it's not a map that we've actually seen too much of this, and from these pictures you don't get much of a picture, right? Okay, bottom left looks a bit like Subbase, and well, actually looks a lot like Subbase, but I'm kind of hoping that isn't really the case, and I don't think it will be. There's this element here on the left-hand side which reminds me a little bit of, there was a map called Frost in Infinite Warfare. There are quite a lot of features of these maps that remind me of Infinite Warfare maps, actually, and you guys might remember the map Frost, because it was the one where JCap famously missed that that uplink toss, among many other legendary moments. I think Llama God had a pretty famous streak on that map as well, among some other clips that are coming to mind. But anyway, Imprint is apparently pretty good, and this map Toshin, or however you might pronounce it, this is also being considered to be one of the key candidates to be a competitive map. It just looks kind of good. I mean, I don't know if it's just the cherry blossom or whatever, but look, it's set in Tokyo, and well, presumably, but it looks like it could be viable, and I know that people are pretty excited to play something to this effect. There's also that map called Den. Maybe the Den map was the one that we thought was Gridlock, just because I mean, you can see some similarities in some of the buildings in the backgrounds here. Anyway, we looked at these maps a little bit the other day. I just wanted to dive into a little bit more what some of these maps say, because Toshin says a monorail derailment has caused chaos downtown in a shopping district outside the station. And they say a little bit more, but effectively that's what's going on there. And according to sources, that might be a pretty good time. Now, aBeZy was at it again, Mr. #1 aura on Don Tem's list. And aBeZy says, at TJ, you really couldn't guard me when I was barely barely on the toy, and he's finding up old screenshots from Modern Warfare 19. So this is Gunrunner Hardpoint. This is right at the start of that game when that LAG team aches Lacefield, Decimates, Saints, and Aqua, and then we've got, as we know, the OGLA team at the time, Kenny, Dashy, Brandon Skywalker, I forgot about that, Slasher, Tej, and JCap. Those are the teams at the start of the game. Now, there was a reason why Slasher and Aches, among others, were barely on the game. If you guys don't remember this, at the start of Modern Warfare 19, the game compared to Black Ops 4 was so bad that the players were kind of mind blown, but they were told by the devs that, don't worry guys, there's going to be a major overhaul coming soon. It's going to completely change the game, and many of the pros literally decided they were not going to scrim at all. They were just, wow, I'm making 350k a year to play this. I'll just chill out for a month, sit on the couch, go for a run. Not like they're doing that, but you know what I mean. Hit the gym if you're Slasher. But then they realised that actually the update was never coming, and therefore they had to hop back on the game, and then they were a little bit behind the curve. But anyway, just some screenshots that X was putting out there, and as TJ in the reply says, this is why you're number one on the Dondada Aura list, outslaying by 25 but winning by 10, inefficient ball slayer. I didn't want to embarrass you with the blowouts. Battle of LA was just super one-sided. It's pretty funny, right? Because over the last few years, surprisingly enough, until even recently, the LAG team actually had the number of LA Thieves, even OGLA, despite on paper not being as good. So, yeah, he throws up some other blowouts here, 248, 168, 204, 167 on the Hackney Yard. Here he is dropping 40 kills. So it's just pretty funny that he's got all these screenshots that he's just decided to go through. Here's another one on Hackney Yard, 250, 118, and, you know, getting absolutely destroyed on the other side. So, but as TJ says, this was what really made this whole interaction. This is the day that Ken almost Mayweathered Bruce. So if you guys remember, a month on a bit ago now, there was this story that Kenny came out on stream and says that he nearly fought a teammate before after a stretch of bad scrims. Now, people were really speculating who it was. People thought maybe it was Envoy. There were some other names that were thrown around as well as possibilities during Kenny's career. But it eventually became clear that actually this was Dashy during the Modern Warfare 19 season when they played for the first time. So TJ says that this was the day, or like at least one of these days, was the day when they were getting slammed in scrims against LAG, and they were so fuming about it that, yeah, Kenny and Dashy almost came to blows. So that's a bit more backstory on that if you guys haven't heard about that before. Now, speaking of Dashy and obviously the OpTic guys, got to talk a little bit about what Shotzzy's been up to, because this is a pretty famous clip now. If you guys haven't seen this before, this is when the players kind of first learned about Shotzzy. He was playing some Black Ops 4 chals to get ready for coming into the scene next year, and nobody was doing movement like this. The backwards slide here into the hop up, you know, Dashy was pretty mind blown. He does eventually lose the round and gets traded out by Robbie B. Wow, that's a while since I've heard that name. But yeah, this is one of those original clips, but also Shotzzy's been saying a fair bit about the state of Black Ops 6 and potentially what that means going forwards. We know that Shotzzy this year, he did all those tweets back in January when he was cooking the rifles, right, saying, oh, you guys are clowns, you know, you're not even trying to win and all this stuff. And then, of course, the team fell off dramatically, and then they turned it around at the end of the year. And now Mercules was the key reason for that. Let's be honest, without Mercules, none of what happened at the end of the season would have happened. But I do think that full stop, everyone else also improved as well. Shotzzy's individual level during their horrific run was not especially good, and his numbers weren't especially good, but Shotzzy really did turn it up at the end of the year. Now, of course, most of that is a combination of the team being at a better spot and improving, but actually Shotzzy has another explanation as to why, towards the end of the season, he made a couple of changes, as he says, PS5 controller and sensitivity, and it actually turned things around for him.
Do I actually play 1.75? Yeah. I switched, like, towards the end of the year. No science behind it. This game is super easy to aim. You know, with Omni, like, the amount of gunfights that I win, like, up close, because I'm able to spin faster than someone else. Actually kind of insane, I'm not gonna lie. Bro, I cannot believe, dude, that I like a PS5 controller now, dude. Like, looking back at it, I would have never thought I switched. Ever.
So maybe this is something for Shotzzy to keep going into the upcoming game as well, just to share this. So, you know, back in my day, as it were, the old values of the stick sensitivity were what people used to use. Now, only players like Royalty used to play on the highest sense, and back in the day it would go up to 14 cents, like in Black Ops 2, then they put it up to about 20 sensitivity. So, you know, most players would sit around about 5 or 6, really. Like, I remember in Infinite Warfare, Zero used to play on 3, which was considered very low at the time, but for a main AR in a game with not much aim assist, that actually made a lot of sense. In most games, you know, I would play on like 4 or 5. I think 5 is probably what most people would play on. Let's say a game like Black Ops 3, they brought in, I mean, I've done it again, but you know, they brought in horizontal and vertical sensitivities. I think I used to play on 4-5, like 4 horizontal, 5 vertical. A lot of people played on 5-5 or 5-6 or something like that. So, you know, those are pretty standard sensitivity numbers. And even to the modern day, when they've updated it to these new values, most people will probably play on something, you know, 1.4, 1.5, something in that kind of ballpark, and presumably Shotzzy was about there as well. Now, some players play on higher than that. Octane is a main AR. This is why, you know, I don't want to glaze Octane too much, but I did think it was actually insane how he was able to play on like 7 cents, like 7, 8 cents at times. I think he played on like 7 in Black Ops 3. Maybe it was 6. But it was definitely higher than most, and he still had like a better shot than anyone else on a higher cent. I thought it was kind of outrageous. And anyway, so he used to play on a higher sensitivity. It's also known that Cellium does as well. Cell plays on a pretty high sense as an AR, which is difficult to do. But Shotzzy reckons that putting it up to about 1.75, so near enough what would be considered a 7 sensitivity, which is, you know, it's not outrageous, it's not royalty levels, but it is higher than most, I would say. And Shotzzy reckons that putting it up to that degree because it's just easier to shoot nowadays, the aim assist is better, his ability to snap onto targets and to chain shots together became superior, so he felt like that was actually a pretty substantial improvement in his gameplay, going up a couple of sensitivity notches. Now, for us mere mortals, that may be less true, but it is still kind of interesting, right? And I'd love to see exactly what all the sensitivities the players are on. I mean, in Counter-Strike, you can find this stuff out. You go on, I don't know, CS. There's some website anyway that tracks like all of the equipment and the sensitivity and the DPI that all the different Counter-Strike pros use. And it's very varied, but in COD we don't really get any of that, so I'd like to see more of that, I suppose. And I just want to close out with this video, which is pretty entertaining, which is Scrap and the boys again getting slammed in a 1 versus 3. So, you know, they simply can't catch a break at this point. They played a standoff game, they ended up going down again, getting slammed in the final round. The game crashes because I guess the host rage quit here. I think TJ, who was trying to make the trade, he was also one shot from his previous gunfight, so that's kind of why he didn't get the trade, but nonetheless pretty entertaining. So very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.
Insane 3v1 meltdown.
Alright, back girl. Look, my cross there, bro.
Yeah, we should.
Come. He could be in cube, Vic.
Got it.
They're close up.
Hey. Left.
What?
TJHaLy.
One shot.
One shot.
I'm a bullet, bro.
Oh my
god.
Yeah, reach out.
What the fuck? This guy's in a corner. I don't know what Ernie's doing, bro. I don't know what the fuck Ernie's doing, bro. What is he doing? Like, I get that he's top fragging. I get that. But what is he doing, bro? He just slid out there and he was weak in a 2v1.
They're close up.
Hey. Left. TJHaLy.
Like, bro, you're channeling. Like, you didn't even coordinate with Tej. You did some shit while saying some shit, and it's like you didn't even coordinate with him. Then you get blooded, and now Tej is literally a bullet right now. Like, Tej is one shot. He's calling it out.
Shot.
I'm a bullet, bro.
Oh my god, you guys are horrible.
You know what I mean? And then look at this. Look at this, man. Look. Look, Ernie. Look at your fucking health when you're sliding out, bro. Come on, man. Come on, Ernie. What's wrong with you, bro? Yo, this guy, bro. What's wrong with this guy? Scrap did say it was on him later. Oh, he did? Oh, okay. Never mind. I thought he was.